So, have you ever just paused and asked yourself, is 1 crore actually enough to retire comfortably in India? For years, this has kind of been the golden benchmark, right? The ultimate financial finish line. We all imagine hitting that magical 7-figure mark, packing up our desks, and just living out our days in totally stress-free bliss. But is that number actually grounded in reality anymore?
Well, here's the shocking truth. Depending on your lifestyle, your age, and where you happen to live, 1 crore might not even come close. Do you actually need 3 crore? 5? Maybe even 10? Building a solid retirement plan isn't just about picking a nice-sounding round number out of thin air. Getting this wrong, it means either outliving your savings or, honestly, overworking for decades to save way more than you actually need.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify this massive financial milestone. We're going to walk through a concrete, step-by-step methodology to help you find your exact, personalized target. No guesswork here, just pure math and strategy.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the reality check, then uncover the silent threat, walk through the core calculation, explore strategies to build wealth, and finally, wrap it all up with the final review. Let's jump right in.
Section 1, the reality check.
Okay, so what exactly is a retirement corpus? Basically, it's the total amount of money you need to accumulate before you retire to act as your primary income source when your salary inevitably stops. Think of it like building your very own personal pension fund. The objective is incredibly simple but really profound. Your money needs to last exactly as long as you do. With rising life expectancies and much better healthcare, people in India are easily living into their 80s or well beyond. That means your savings don't just need to last a few years. They need to support 25 to 30 solid years of expenses. Just let that sink in for a second.
Moving on to Section 2, the silent threat.
And this silent threat is exactly why retirement planning literally can't wait. Let's say you're 35 years old today, spending around $60,000 a month on your family, food, electricity, medical, all the standard essentials, and you plan to retire at 60. If we assume a standard 6% average annual inflation rate, that $60,000 lifestyle absolutely won't cost $60,000 when you retire. To maintain the exact same standard of living 25 years from now, you'll need approximately 2.58 lakhs per month. That is over 31 lakh a year. Talk about sticker shock, right? That is the hidden power of inflation.
Which brings us to Section 3, the core calculation.
Figuring out your specific number actually becomes super logical when you break it down into 5 steps. Step 1, estimate your expenses today. But here's a crucial tip. Make sure to exclude expenses that will end before you retire, like your kids' education or your current home loan EMIs. Step 2, adjust that remaining number for inflation. Step 3, estimate your retirement duration, say age 60 to 85, which gives us 25 years. Step 4, estimate your post-retirement returns, because remember, your money won't just be sitting idle, it'll still earn conservative returns. And finally, Step 5, calculate your total required corpus.
Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Take a 30-year-old aiming to retire at 60, with current monthly expenses of 50,000 rupees. Factoring in that 6% inflation and needing this money to last a 30-year retirement, their estimated monthly expense by the time they retire balloons to about 2.87 lakh rupees. Annually, that's roughly 34 lakh rupees. To generate that much income safely for 3 entire decades, their target corpus needs to be approximately 8.5 crore. Yeah, 8.5 crore. This math right here highlights exactly why starting early is absolutely non-negotiable.
Now, you might be scratching your head wondering how on earth we just leaped from 34 lakhs a year to a massive 8.5 crore corpus. Well, there's a really handy cognitive shortcut used in financial planning called the 4% rule. The basic premise is that you withdraw around 4% of your total retirement corpus in the very first year of your retirement, and then you just adjust future withdrawals for inflation. So, if you know you need 34 lakhs a year, you simply divide 34 lakh by 0.04, which gives you that 8.5 crore figure. It takes some pretty intimidating math and simplifies it into a single, straightforward equation.
But, and this is a massive but, there is a big caveat here. The 4% rule is a super useful starting point, but it's definitely not a guarantee. You see, this rule actually originated from studies based on historical US market data. It doesn't perfectly mirror Indian realities. As an Indian investor, your required corpus relies heavily on your specific expected returns, local inflation, taxes, and your own personal spending patterns. So definitely use the 4% rule as a baseline to get your bearings, but recognize that it has to be personalized to you.
All right, Section 4, Strategies to Build Wealth.
So, where do you actually put your money? The answer is diversification. You absolutely cannot rely on just one single vehicle. For salaried employees, the EPF is foundational. Then you've got the PPF for long-term, tax-efficient savings, and the NPS, which is quite literally designed for retirement. During your accumulation phase, when you're aggressively growing wealth over decades, equity mutual funds and low-cost index funds are going to be your primary engines of wealth creation. Then, as you get closer to retirement, you'll naturally shift toward debt investments for stability. The exact mix you need depends entirely on your current age, your goals, and your personal risk tolerance.
While we're on the topic of building wealth, it's worth mentioning an alternative way to calculate your goal, called the income replacement method. Instead of using the 4% rule on your total expenses, you look at your required annual income, let's say 25 lakhs, and you subtract any expected passive income, like a pension or maybe rental yield. The remaining amount is what your liquid corpus actually needs to generate. This method often provides a much more personalized and, honestly, sometimes slightly less daunting estimate.
Of course, getting to that finish line safely means avoiding the classic traps that derail so many folks. We've already talked about the danger of ignoring inflation and starting late, but relying solely on EPF or a basic pension, that is a massive risk. Furthermore, underestimating rising healthcare costs can absolutely decimate a retirement fund in just a few short years. Add to that, assuming wildly unrealistic investment returns, failing to periodically review your plan, and keeping your entire corpus in one single asset class, you want to avoid these errors at all costs.
So how do we actively speed up this wealth building process? Well, obviously, you got to start early. But the real secret weapon? It's increasing your SIPs annually. As your salary grows, increase your investments. Even small, consistent step-ups create massive compounding effects over a few decades. Stay incredibly consistent, avoid unnecessary debt that just eats away at your investable income, always keep a separate emergency fund, and crucially, remember to shift your asset allocation to safer investments as you get older.
Finally, Section 5, the final review.
Before you march into your boss's office and hand in that resignation letter, run through this ultimate pre-retirement checklist. Do you actually have the required calculated corpus? Is your health insurance adequate to protect that corpus? Is your emergency fund fully stocked up? Is your portfolio properly diversified to generate income? Have you realistically accounted for inflation and planned for taxes? Because remember, a well-planned retirement isn't just about sitting on a giant pile of money. It's about achieving genuine peace of mind when the unexpected inevitably happens.
At the end of the day, the biggest advantage in retirement planning isn't hunting down some magical stock with the absolute highest return. It's honestly just starting early and investing consistently. Time in the market, combined with unwavering discipline, will always be your most powerful asset against things like inflation and longevity.
Which leaves us with one final thought to wrap up this explainer. Now that you've got the framework, the reality check, and all the calculation steps, at what age are you personally planning to retire? And based on this math we just did, what is your true retirement goal? Don't wait until tomorrow to figure this out. Sit down, do the calculation today, and start building your future.